Welcome back to another episode of Black Seinfeld, the show about nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
It's the one and only Trinidadian Panamanian Poppy, Rude Boy, Top Gunner, Suck Panyamada, Guerrilla Unit Soldier in the flesh, Giovanni Anglin. Hey, everyone.
Yo, what's going on? It's Bastion Nissa, recording live from LA. Gio is in Brooklyn, New York. Back again. Black Seinfeld. What's going on, people?
This song is very poetic right now because you got the West Coast in the game, you got the East Coast with 50 Cent. This is us right now, Bastion. I'm representing New York. You are by default representing LA.
Sure. Just monetarily, just like I'm the representative coin flip. It's like, yeah, I choose head for the West Coast, as they say.
Absolutely. And I had to play this song because there's a lot to get into with the game. But there's a line specifically within this song that I never understood as a child, Bastion. But now that I've seen the Drink Champs episode featuring Murder Inc.'s Irv Gotti and Ja Rule, that line just stuck out to me like it just came to me out of nowhere, Bastion. That's just how my mind works. Sometimes I just think about music lyrics and I'm like, holy crap. It all makes sense now. This man named Gotti, he pretend mad at us that Ashanti got a new boyfriend. I didn't know what the game meant, but geez, boy, do I know now.
That's interesting because something like that line, I probably heard it a million times because I know the song, Hate or Love It, the G-Unit remix. It was such a big deal. There's even a story, I think Mike told us, that they didn't even, I think they broke up by the time they shot the music video because they were in two different locations shooting it. Shout out to intern Mike.
And yes, this was when the game started not going back to 50 Cent when it came to 50's beefs. So he wasn't beefing with Fat Joe. He wasn't beefing with Jadakiss and the rest of the D Block because he said he had no issues with them. So 50 felt some type of way about that as well, and the game is a well-known hothead, so they weren't really eye to eye on that. And of course, this song, Hate It or Love It, the original version was given to the game because that song was supposed to be on 50 Cent's The Massacre, which was supposed to come out on Valentine's Day because it was supposed to originally be called St. Valentine's Day Massacre, but that got pushed back for the games project, the documentary, and all this stuff happened.
It's the normal music workplace politics.
Definitely.
But to go back, like I've heard this song so many times, that line I never went to do research to see what's going on. Even Rap Genius at that time when I was going back to older songs, like, oh, what did he mean by this song? Let me listen to it. Let me read what an explanation. But I never went back to that line, which is funny.
Exactly.
I didn't even know who Irv Gotti was, to be honest.
Back then, really?
That name doesn't show. Like, how would I know him personally?
Because Gotti was one of those people, one of those producers, all in the videos, in the background.
Do you know any videos? Could you name any? For me, particularly. I'm not being ignorant to his fame at all. I just don't know what songs is attached to him.
Mesmerized, for one.
Okay.
He was in there because that was
Mesmerized Biggie Smalls you talking about?
No. Mesmerized, Ja Rule and Ashanti. That's when they were doing the parody of Grease.
I don't remember the music video for that.
Oh,
that song I know by, I used to listen to Hot 97 when I was younger, but anything from 2005, 2007, I know the music video pretty well.
See, but that's 2002, 2001 era. Oh, so yes, Irv was in Mesmerized, and for those of you who remember that video, that was the parody of Grease, where Ashanti was of course the lead in Grease, and of course Ja Rule was the rugged thug who fell in love with this girl and tried to leave the street stuff alone, and Irv was like, "Yo, Ja, what are you wearing?" And he was wearing like a cardigan sweater, which isn't even like that bad at all. He's like, my girl want me to leave the streets alone. That's what I'm gonna do. What was that other track with with Nas, Ja Rule, and Ashanti
I'm not too
and
sure.
Tupac.
With Tupac,
Fuck. Yeah.
I wouldn't know that song.
Come on.
If I
That was okay. That was still pre 2005. Okay, but yeah, there was a video of Nas, Ja Rule, and Ashanti, and Irv was right there. It was basically like this one big podium thing. It was like a press conference, and everyone from Murder Inc. was sitting there, and Irv was right in the first shot
The
because
Pledge.
the pledge, yes, one of Nas's better verses and probably one of the most underrated songs to ever come out of Murder Inc. Telling you, it's a great track.
Very interesting. Yeah, The Pledge, 2002.
Yes, 2002, featuring Tupac, and all they did was they sampled So Many Tears. The beat was the So Many Tears beat. They just sampled it, and
Okay.
at the end, it was a segue into So Many Tears, the intro of it, because Pac goes, "Shall now fear no man but God. Though I walk to the valley of death, shed so many tears." So it was a great song. I definitely recommend you just going back and listening to it, even if it's just Nas's verse. He's the opening verse, so definitely check that out. But definitely Irv Gotti was in all of the videos, and ironically, he was in a lot of the videos with Ashanti too. Just saying.
I'm very unaware of his history. That's very interesting. I'll look into it. But why did you bring up Irv Gotti?
The reason why I brought up Irv Gotti is because I want to tip my hats off to Noriega and EFN for one of the latest Drink Champs episodes that has been getting a lot of buzz lately. And the reason why it's been getting a lot of buzz is because of Irv Gotti. He's the sole reason why people have been making the rounds about this episode because Irv Gotti cannot let go of Ashanti emotionally, physically, spiritually. He is still affected by the woman known as Ashanti. And quite honestly, I don't blame him. But the way he came across in that interview, he just seemed very bitter towards Ashanti. He still felt hurt. He still feels hurt after all these years, 20 years to be exact, Fashion. And I just thought it was a car crash that you can't take your eyes off of. Think of OJ Simpson in the white Bronco speed chase. That's how bad it was. Ja Rule tried his best to be neutral in the game. He tried to be Switzerland, but he tried to take this conversation and put it on track, but Irv just kept going back to Ashanti and back to Ashanti. You know you're hurt. Ironically enough, the man came to the interview with the watch that Ashanti gave him that was engraved that said, "You changed lives forever, Ashanti."
Oof.
6 minutes into the video, 6 minutes into the interview, the man is talking about how he's never going to give Ashanti her masters back. And if you want to redo your album, if you want to redo your songs, guess who you have to go through? Ashanti, Irv Gotti. That's what he started the interview with, like right off the bat. And then as he started smoking some weed, as he started drinking a little bit of Ace of Spade, Irv started to feel more unwind. He started to feel more comfortable. And that's what I appreciate about Noriega is the fact that this is such an industry show. This is such a music industry show. And Nori knows a lot of people that comes on this show. So there's a sense of comfortability. And Nori, to his credit, he didn't have to ask any questions, really. He just let Irv Gotti talk. And boy, did he. Fashion, for one, you know when a man is hurt when he recants his tale of finding out that the woman that he's in love with was with someone else. He painted a very vivid picture of where he was, what he was doing when he found out that Ashanti was dating Nelly. That I did know because they were together for a long ass time. But Irv telling us where he was when he found out that Ashanti was dating Nelly, that was priceless.
There, even me personally, it's like when I try to picture certain events, it's probably maybe one thing that came up, maybe two things that came up in my life that I could recant where I was, what was my state of mind, what I was doing. You know, as New Yorkers, of course, there's that one day we don't have to bring it up, but that's pretty much it. Um, I when I hear that, I do hear like a sense of like ownership, right? It does seem maybe he did have an emotional aspect to it, feeling hurt, but now it feels like a sense of ownership. Saying that in the beginning of the interview, he said, "I own your masters." Like I still own a piece of you. If you want to fix that, you have to talk to me again. That seems disrespectful, right? Isn't
He did
that
call her a bitch, very much so in this
see?
interview. He
That's
called her
very
a bitch a lot.
toxic. That's very toxic, and it's really hard for who's the host of Drink Champs again? Noriega, right?
Nori,
It's
yes,
probably
Nori and EFN.
it's probably difficult for Nori to try to kind of he did a good job like letting him talk. Well, I'm pretty sure him listening to it, he understood, or at least the crowd understood. It's like this is not good. This is toxic. If anything, this looks bad on Irv Gotti, and I
Oh,
hope
100%.
it shows the same thing for other producers. I made the other week. I made a joke about like Diddy. It's like, why do people still respect him? Like, yeah, you could have a great conversation with him at his house next to the pool, cool. But I wouldn't be nowhere near him if I were to have an R&B career or a rap career, right?
You want to be one of the members of the Hit Squad, Bastion? I know you're a producer.
Absolutely not. I can only imagine he would use this years later, say, "Oh, I still own your masters." Da 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 da. Like that's, as you said, it's a very industry podcast show,
Yes, it is.
and they, especially if you're an artist growing and you want to get into the game, I do recommend listening to other people's experiences and understand that it's going to be exactly the same thing. You know, you might meet people that are good to you, good on your team. You know, like you think about like Top Dog, for example, right? But then there's a lot of complaints like, oh, you know, like SZA saying, we're trying to drop the album in the summertime, but then they shipped it on me.
Right.
Right. Then they had to come out and explain. It's like, that was the idea. Then things change up. So it's still the industry in a way.
There's always going to be a combativeness between the artists and the management. There's always going to be a clash in creativity and wanting to own your music and have more control within your music, but that's how the industry goes. Somehow, some way, they're going to eat off of you.
And I do
And
think it's more difficult for women as well, especially in this situation. You could look back at like any documentary from like
yeah,
the beginning of time about a woman musician and how the executives or whoever, even if she was in a relationship or wasn't in a relationship with, would still hold her accountable, or not even hold accountable, hold her like life in a way.
yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
It's interesting how you said that Irv was reminiscing on those times, like one of those moments, like, oh, where were you when blank happened in New York, or where were you when the 2003 blackout happened, or where were you when you found out Michael Jackson died? He literally was reminiscing like one of those huge events happened. And the one thing that he kept stressing out of all of this was the one thing, the nail in the coffin that shifted the relationship between he and Ashanti wasn't Nelly. It wasn't any of that, but it was the fact that when the whole Feds thing was happening and he kept reiterating over and over again, she looked at me, we were in the car, and she threw up the Murder Inc. sign. So for those of you who don't know, it's just three fingers down, so it looks like an M. And she's told her, she's like, I can't do this anymore. And to Irv, he felt as though since he's helped put Ashanti on to Murder Inc. and labeled her as the princess of R&B, he took that very much to heart because the woman that he so-called loved was abandoning him. And so he kept reiterating, how would you feel, Bastion, if you came to me? You know what, Bastion? Because Irv got a point. You know how I'd feel, Bastion, if you come to me and you say to me, yo, G, I can't do this anymore. That would make me feel hurt, Bastion.
I always think that there's more to the story. If, let's say, next week, Noriega brings Ashanti and she clarifies everything, there'll probably be a lot more to discuss. Because
That is
that's
very
the thing
true.
about these stories. That's the way I look about That's how I feel about documentaries. It's really difficult for me to understand, to watch documentaries if while they're producing it, that they're not alive. Like,
Mm,
how are they really getting the full account, right?
that is fair.
So that's some like the reason I'm pretty sure a lot of people appreciate Jamie Foxx's of Ray Charles is because Jamie Foxx actually spoke with Ray Charles, played the piano. I mean, he gave
Right.
him pointers. This is how he does it. Then he was able to do it, and they had a fun time working together. So there's more of a respect. You're getting more of the perspective, right? And there's a lot of like, oh, this is what Ray Charles was doing around the time when he was alive, how he felt about Elvis. So they could, put it in the movie and stuff. So for what Irv Gotti is saying, it's super one sided. So to say like she's feeling disrespected because of the Fed stuff, it could be a bunch of things, and that was like the last straw.
Yeah.
It's like, I
I
seen what you did behind the scene. Like, I'm out of here.
Right. And on to defend Ashanti, because this is a show that loves Ashanti. Ashanti was never really into the street aspect of that stuff,
Same as J
Murder
Lo,
Inc.
right?
Right, same as J-Lo. They never was into any of that
Similar
stuff. All right.
situation.
Similar situation. So I understand Ashanti's point. Hey, she didn't want to have anything to do with it. And she felt at that time, hey, they're probably gonna go to jail, to prison for a long time. And furthermore, I would just like to say this is one of the best 3-hour marketing schemes for their Murder Inc. documentary.
Oh yeah, I guess people will check it out now. They know a little bit of the story. I don't know how
That's
much
right.
that's gonna shadow the story.
That is true. That's a fair point. But hey, every Tuesday on BET, it's a 5-part documentary series similar to what they did with the Rough Riders. So Irv did say his relationship with Ashanti is in there, and apparently on Irv's side, he's going to say that Ashanti's always going to deny the fact that she was with Irv. So I don't know how true that is. I mean, I would understand why now after listening to him go on like an hour and 30-minute diatribe about Ashanti. I get it. So I'm on Ashanti's side on this. I'm Team
Good,
Ashanti.
good.
100%.
Quick history lesson. Before
Please.
Pac passed away, he was on Murder Inc. Like, what's that, the new label or no?
No.
Just double check the timeline thing. All right, never mind then.
Yeah, absolutely not. Pac was still on. He was still on death
Death
row
Row.
when he passed. Yes,
Okay.
100%. And Irv Gotti, he has a really good ear when it comes to music, because before finding Ja Rule, he was cool with DMX. And he helped almost discover DMX, because before Murder Inc. happened, Irv was over at Def Jam. And even before DMX, he knew Hove first. He knew Hove back in '87. So I'm sorry. So Irv was the one responsible for getting Jay-Z, DMX, and Ja Rule all together to create that track. It was Irv was the one who facilitated that. So Irv Gotti, he's a smart man. He has a good ear when it comes to the music.
But he
And
falls in the same pitfall as most producers that
of
own
course,
record labels and
hey man,
artist
it
contracts.
happens. Um,
You just gotta be a
before
Sith
we
Lord, huh?
before we end this, because I do want to end this really quickly, I would just like to commend Nori on one thing too, because this is a 3-hour podcast, right? Within There was no mention of G Unit or 50 Cent. So I commend him for that. Because whenever you talk about Irv Gotti or Murder Inc., Ja Rule, 50 Cent always comes up somehow. But Nori did his best, and he strained away from not even mentioning 50. So that's an achievement within itself. Because every time you people interview Irv or Ja, 50 always comes up due to the history, but Nori stayed away from it. And that's something I thought I found actually really refreshing.
Oh, that's cool. So I'll be sure to check it out.
Check it out. Drink Champs available on all your digital streaming platforms, and hopefully they return the favor and talk about Black Seinfeld, a show about nothing. And we'd like to thank all of you people for listening to us here live, 99.5 FM, WBAI New York, and WBAI.org for all of our listeners tuning in on the web. We want to thank all of our YouTube viewers who is viewing this right now on the YouTube. So please give us a like, give us a share, leave a comment. I don't know what else we do on YouTube. Oh, subscribe. That's a thing. Click that. Is it a red button now, Bastion?
Yes, it is a red button.
Click that red button down there because it matches my plaid. And of course, we can't forget about all of our podcast listeners. That's the most of y'all who listen to this show are podcast listeners. So please, please follow us, like us on all podcasting platforms. Apple, we see y'all. Spotify, we see y'all. Google, we see y'all. Audible, we see y'all. TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, we see y'all. Pandora, yes, I know some of y'all still listen to us on Pandora. iHeart Media, we see y'all. Thank you so much for the love and the support. Bastion, how have you been otherwise, bud?
Same old, chilling. Taking in the heat on this side. It has been very hot, especially early mornings. But it's been the same. You know, it's interesting. There's a lot of news story, but I haven't found like the trail of. Apparently, there's supposed to be like a rainstorm coming to like the west side, but I think it hit Las Vegas. I thought it was coming to like Los Angeles area, so it was supposed to rain for 2 or 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
It sort of reminds me of that. You remember that movie Holes, where in Camp Green Lake it didn't rain at all for like years.
100 years.
And then when it was, yes, for over 100 years. And then when it finally rained, it was going to rain for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you're living in Camp Green Lake over in LA, because I've been looking at the weather for y'all over there, and it's just been nothing but sun, 88 degrees, and it just doesn't look like that's stopping anytime soon. Over here in New York, it actually rained a bit today. It actually rained in the afternoon a little bit because I work in Queens. And so y'all Queens people, man, the weather is weird over there, man, because it could be raining in Queens and I could go right back to Brooklyn after work and it is dry. And I asked my parents, like, hey, did it rain at all? And they're like, no.
It's not
like,
Queens. Come on, bro.
It is Queens.
No, it's the same thing. When I worked in Long Island and I came to Queens, like nothing happened. It's like it will rain, it will hail in Long Island. I came home, I was like, oh, did it hail here? I was like, no.
I'm bashing Queens.
So no, that's not how it works. Anyways, y'all here hating.
Of course.
Let's talk about meme stocks. You wanted to talk about Bed Bath and Beyond. What did you find interesting about them?
Well, for those of you who have forgotten what meme stocks are, we made a fabulous episode talking about the genesis of meme stocks, particularly with GameStop and AMC, and it is actually named Game Stonks. We made this back in January of 2021. It's one of the later episodes within that month. So please go back and re-listen to that episode if you want to know.
Oh, it's actually the February 4th episode.
Oh, February 4th. So my apologies, the February 4th episode. So please go back, listen to the Game Stonks episode, which talked about the rise in meme stocks such as GameStop, AMC, on a very, more, I'd say, underground note, like Nokia. I remember that was making a huge rise, and I believe BlackBerry as well, if I'm not mistaken.
BlackBerry.
Am I right, Bastion?
I don't remember BlackBerry, but I do remember what was the photo company? Kodak, yes. That was my favorite one because it went all the way up to like maybe $50. Don't quote me on that. And then it dropped all the way down and it couldn't pass like $20. And it still hasn't passed it. So I could only feel some type of way if you bought it at the tip top, because this was around the pandemic when they said Kodak was changing into doing more pharmaceutical, from like photo company to pharmaceutical. and the
They
whole
wanted
thing
to
was super
do
strange.
they wanted to do more COVID stuff too. I remember that.
Well, it was
What
a
a weird
game.
time we were living in.
it,
Yeah.
it was a game. Whoever made the first vaccine for it will be the one to make the most money. So right now, if you look at Kodak, which is KODK, it
Mhm.
is, I'm pretty sure that's the same company. It is like $7.
Mm.
So yeah,
Now it's $7.
now
That's
it's,
crazy what happens within a year, bud.
yeah. I wonder if it's
And
the
we're
same
starting
thing.
and we're starting to see that again with Bed Bath and Beyond. So meme stocks basically are stocks and companies that are damn near death, such as a GameStop, such as a Nokia, such as a BlackBerry. And what happens is people just start throwing money in that stock and they jack up the stock prices. And then what happens is there is what the stock markets and a lot of the stock experts, financial experts like to call volatility within the stock market. And so a lot of these apps where you can invest money in, they like to close off the stocks for those specific meme stocks because you're not those stocks aren't really supposed to be making that much money. Those stocks aren't really supposed to be rising. If anything, those are supposed to come like $2 a pop. But now what we're seeing ever since last year is them just people just voluntarily messing up and screwing up the stock market and making actual money off of it and making the richer poorer while the poor are becoming richer from it.
Uh,
And it's really nice to see.
Essentially, because the way I look at it, it's still a game. the
100%.
the the point of it is to look for shorts, and the concept of shorts is you see a stock and they want the value of it to go down, right?
Yes.
So something like GameStop, they see that it's nudging down, down, down every other month, and they just want to bring the price of it so low that they're able to make money off of like guessing in terms of you're shortening the stock, so you want it to go low, you make more money. It's like infinite money. And all these hedge funds, they do that on a normal basis. So they put money up, put money down, put money up, put money down, and that's how they're able to raise the value, especially in that hedge fund. I'm not a stocks guy 100% in the way where I know how to do it. You need a lot of liquid money to throw at a stock in order to go up, and vice versa, how much to take for it to go down. Now, what I see here for Bed Bath and Beyond, it apparently went through the same thing. Am I right?
Yes.
I didn't know about it until you brought it up.
Right. I messaged you saying, "Hey, did you know that Bed Bath and Beyond has gone up 60% today?" He's like, and you were asking me why. I was like, "Oh, it's another squeeze that they're doing." But I did not know that this squeeze was coming from GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen, who is no stranger to finding out what a short squeeze is, because we all know GameStop was on its last legs, and they always want to give us what 99 cents, $20 for a brand new ass game that we want to sell back. So this all stems from GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen, because he wanted to essentially save Bed Bath and Beyond, because Bed Bath and Beyond, one of my personal favorite home goods store at the time, a lot of them were going out of business.
At the time, when was it cool?
When was it cool? When I was a kid and I realized they have popcorn machines.
Yeah, well, so is Macy's. So
Yeah, no, it's significantly cheaper over at Bed Bath and Beyond.
it seems the same price when I shop there. I'm hating. I don't like Bed Bath and Beyond. Wow.
Why? What don't you
No,
like
it's the
about it?
same thing. It's like a Target slash Macy's slash everything, and
Cheaper.
it's cheaper. But these brands, this is kind of my opinion, something like GameStop shouldn't exist because the system that they were built on no longer work. The same way Blockbuster no longer works in today's world. So that system is dead and gone. The same thing is happening to Netflix, whatever they spent like to waste their money on. That's how I look at it. So same thing for Bed Bath and Beyond. I know, I think they hired the Target CEO, don't quote me on that. But they changed the CEO. They tried to shift everything to make it more online based, and
Mm,
that didn't work out so well. And then they've been trying to do online for the past 2-3 years. And if you could look back to their charts, and I put it in the show notes. Back in 2021, during when everything was pumping, they were as high as $35. And
yeah.
then from there, as pretty much every other company, please go check out Peloton stock and how that jumped all the way down from 100 to less than 10. Every single month from that, it's been decreasing. So it's been in a bear market. Now, before it jumped 60% when Geo hit me up, it was actually close to $5. Now, that's a squeeze. Now, you want that to keep going down to $2, $1. That's all hedge funds. That's how they work. So to be $35 in 2001, in the near end of 2001, and now to be like $5 like 2 weeks ago, it's insane.
Yeah. Essentially, it's crazy to see what just a couple of people with money and just the internet can do to screw over a couple of hedge fund guys. I appreciate it. I love it. And hopefully, you know, they can they can bounce back because I don't want to see Bed Bath and Beyond go, Bastion. Unlike you, I don't want to see them go.
You want to see
Is it
them
going to
stay?
change my life? Yeah, I want to see them say. Is it going to change my everyday life? No. But you know, it's nice to have some things stay, and Bed Bath and Beyond deserve to stay.
Yeah, interesting. But I from where it is now, I think right now it is close to $20, $23. So for these past couple of days, it has jumped from $5 to $23.
That's a significant boost, man.
But just to be sure, for the people listening at home, I still don't recommend to ever join any of these meme stocks because you
Oh,
have a
100.
higher chance to being late to the party. You
Yes,
know,
that is very true. A lot
Kanye
of
the
people were
game
late.
late to the party.
A
No,
lot
no,
of people were late to the GameStop stuff. Thankfully,
yeah.
I caught on to the AMC stuff.
Oh, it's not Kanye the game. It was Andre 3000. But yeah, it's very easy to be late to the game. So as I said, right now $23 is pretty high compared to where it was a couple days ago. So maybe,
Only 2 days ago.
but still, it's about volatility, and also that
Of
I'm pretty
course.
sure they halted it because too many people were selling and
Investing.
buying
Yeah.
and um, doing some trading on it and trying to see. Hopefully, it could try to push past $35. I even put like a Fibonacci chart. It's like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they're aiming for $35. But like I said, this is not advice. I don't recommend investing. It'll be very reckless for you to do it. But
Black Seinfeld is not sponsored by Robinhood. Do not download Robinhood if you want to join the volatility and hold on the line and be a part of history and get Bed Bath Beyond at $35. Don't use Robinhood, people.
don't do any option trade. You can't do it. You're not educated enough to do it. If you want to do it, please read. I know it's something not a lot of people like doing. YouTube videos don't
Oh,
help. You gotta read.
100%.
You gotta read. I'm sorry, YouTube can't. YouTube could show you how the website works, but YouTube can't show you theory.
With a lot of things, you have to study this stuff. Some of you can get lucky. Some of you can just fall into some money. It happens. Okay, that's how lotteries are won. People just fall into it. But seriously, I know I'm joking. I'm talking a lot of crap. Definitely do some research before you even dip your hand into trying to do something like this because the last thing I would want you to do is lose some serious money by following memes and trends.
Yeah, losing $15 hurts, but losing $150,000, oof, it's kind of funny.
Oh, I mean, first blowing that amount of money, I don't think that's funny. That sucks.
Yeah,
Like that's life-changing amount of money.
feels bad, man. Feels bad.
Anyways, let's take a little pause, shall we, Bastion? I'm gonna play another throwback, and this is going out to Ashanti because we love Ashanti here. And no, it's not only you. It rained here a little bit in New York, so I feel like it's very fitting that we play "Rain on Me," a song that is not really about rain; it's about abuse. And I think it's fitting because yes, Irv Gotti, you were abusive to Ashanti, verbally abusive. I don't know about the other stuff, but verbally abusive, yes, for 3 hours on Drink Champs. This goes out to you, Ashanti. Here's "Rain on Me." Welcome back to Black Seinfeld Show About Nothing. That was the Princess of R&B, Miss Ashanti, "Rain on Me." You hear the pain in her voice. You hear the pain within the song, Bastion. This is a song about abuse. She wants to leave this relationship. I find it very apropos now after listening to Drink Champs.
You think there's some energy from the past that she's tapping into to perform the song?
Oh, 100%. She sounds very motivated because ironically enough, right after that Drink Champs episode aired, Shanti and Nelly were performing. They had a dual performance together. So I find that very ironic. And yes, "Rain on Me" was performed. So I'm assuming she got word of what Irv was saying about her. So I'm sure she had a bit more of motivation to evoke those emotions in "Rain on Me." Ironically enough, I rewatched that video and Lorenz Tate is in the video as Ashanti's love interest, but this is like a thugged out O-Dog version of Lorenz Tate because he has like a teardrop on his face in this video, and he was sort of her abuser. Not really sort of, he was the abuser. Just in the video, people, in the video. I want to stress that. Lorenz Tate was the abuser in the video. And ironically enough, let's bring this back around to 50 Cent. Lorenz Tate is in power. Go figure.
Oh, look at
See
that.
how I did that?
Look at that.
Yeah, they always shoot around here over on Atlantic Ave. So, you know, I did not run into Lorenz Tate, but I ran into one of their filmings and they used a building where I believe Lorenz Tate is getting into politics in the show. And so they had his character's like headquarters in one of the buildings. So that was pretty neat to see.
That's interesting.
Yeah, man. You know what else is interesting? We have an update for all of our listeners about last week's program, which was the Margalo raid that was conducted by the FBI. Of course, Margalo Resort is the home of President 45, and we are here with an update, aren't we, Bastion?
Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago. Who I say Margalo?
Yeah, like it's a name. like it's your friend's name, Margalo. Yeah, Mar-a-Lago. It's a great name in my opinion.
It is a good name.
As you said last week, it should be Mag-a-Lago. Just for you gotta go full force with the branding.
I think so. I think it's a missed opportunity that they didn't name it that.
Rename it, yeah. MAGA is still like the best brand switch up in a long time.
Ever in politics. From first it was change with Obama and like yes we can.
Will I am.
But Will I am, yes we can. Shoot.
That had a positive momentum to it.
It did. And we can't forget all of the music that came from that. My president is black, my Lambo's blue.
Classic bar. Champagne, embarrassing.
For Barack campaign.
Heavy liberal. Yeah, I get it. I remember. We don't have to go back there, but right now we're in the post-MAGA time. And what is the best way to show what the MAGA people is about when your leader, President Trump, many MAGA people still believe that the election was stolen, and the FBI they had a search warrant. They came through, they seized what they needed to, and they bounced. That's the story that's been going on. That's exactly what happened, and that's what we discussed last week. It wasn't a raid. They didn't show up saying, yo, we coming through, we stealing everything. They spoke to the Secret Service there. They let them know, it's like, hey, we need this, and they opened the door. But
they came to get their lunch. That's it.
But that's us doing our due diligence. We're on the radio, so we have to read between the lines. We can't just get one form of media to understand what happened. We have to wait it out. If that happened, like let's say the FBI came through his place like 2 hours before the show, we wouldn't discuss it. But because it happened so like was it like a day or maybe even earlier in the day, more
Yes.
news was able to come out. We were able to read it and sift through the nonsense and find the
Right.
exact information and say, all right, this is the story. But apparently, Trump supporters don't do that. Trump
Of
supporters
course not. We're
aren't interested in this full story. They're more interested in this story they feel or what's given to them by other conservative parties.
like dumbass Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, did he say something?
No, but Alex Jones said that the whole thing that happened in uh shoot. He said one of the school shootings was fake. He said it
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
real.
and he has to pay what, like $30 million to the parents.
Yeah.
So they got to be safe out there, and I think that's what Fox News is doing right now, because as I discussed last week, Fox News was very, very focused on having their own spin on the story, bringing certain guests that worked in the White House at a certain time, and saying this is all just like a way to destroy Trump's direction into reigniting his campaign. We are in a quote unquote election cycle. And in order for the people to connect with their leader, the first thing they did was they protested the FBI in multiple locations.
Yes, one in Phoenix, and this one particularly in Phoenix was pretty noteworthy because they protested armed outside of the FBI building. And I just want to say this. One thing I commend about them is they got balls, okay? They got balls to do that. Because let it be some black people doing that, and that's a no-go.
Different
So I
story.
just want to 100% a different story, okay? The FBI, one of the reasons why the FBI was even created, okay, was to take down black people, black radicals, black politicians, okay?
And any
They
sort of
wiretap.
leftist bubbling, they're there
That's
to
right.
just shut it down early.
They wiretap MLK for crying out loud, okay? But I just want to say, just off rip alone, I respect the balls that y'all have for even doing that. And the FBI, after everything that y'all done in this country to people of color, specifically black people, I am 100% disappointed that y'all ain't do diddly squat. I'm pretty sure because y'all know some of them too, right?
You know,
Let's keep it real,
you know what?
Bastion.
I don't think
Ain't know
so.
some of them.
Because in my opinion, you have to be a little bit different. I don't want to use any ableist terms, but you gotta be a little bit different in order to think you're doing a good job protesting outside, like a couple feet, maybe half a couple blocks away in front of a FBI location, because it's not just Phoenix, Arizona, it's in Columbia, South Carolina, it's in Riverside, California. There's roughly around 50 people. They got their signs, they got their flags, they got their loudspeakers. They're preaching, they're talking to each other and journalists, and a lot of people are really adamant that the FBI needs to be reformed
And defunded.
and defunded. A lot of reform too, because I'm pretty sure you start to realize what the FBI is for, and it's like we can't remove it, but defund. They're using defund in a way we say defund the police, but they use it as exact meaning. They kind of flip how we say it.
Right. They mean to remove it
Yeah,
instead of actually defunding or defunding the money that they're given by the government to and allocating it to other things. They just want to get rid of the FBI altogether now
and
because they're going after their prime leader.
I think the news media, especially on the conservative side, did a good job to give them all the talking points and give them that energy. It's like, yeah, we need to protest because X, Y, and Z, and hopefully this could get through to Gio's boy Dark Brandon, and let them do the whole switch up. Say, hey, we know what you're doing, and we're not going to allow that to happen.
My boy Dark Brandon.
Yes, yes,
I found out what the hell Dark Brandon was because of you.
yes. And let's talk into the next subject.
Yeah, let's get into it. But first, can you actually just tell people what the hell Dark Brandon is?
I think I explained it the last episode, just in case if you've seen the meme lately, it's pretty much a code name for everything that Joe Biden has promised to do or said he needs to do, and he's done it. So
Somewhat.
somewhat like just doing an action counts as like a dark branded, and it's a joke. I think it died off, but since the FBI raid happened, it wasn't a raid, but since the FBI raid happened, it kind of brought it back to life again. And now with what just recently was signed into Congress, it's kind of like he's back at it again. He's like he's there. He has things he needs to do. He's accomplishing his goals. It took a long time. He said he was going to do it. There was a lot of roadblocks, but he's able
There
to
are.
get around it. And I'm surprised. It's not exactly what I want,
Right.
but it's something. But I'm not as happy as like a liberal will be. Liberal person would be happy.
Yeah.
It's just like as politics, and this is the best they could do, and they got something.
I will say this before we get into what the act is and what money is going to where. I would just like to say, just give it a little critique. Calling it the Inflation Reduction Acts, I think it warps people's mind into thinking that this is an immediate resolution for the inflation that we're experiencing now. And I think that's one of my only issues. That's one issue I have with naming it that off rip.
I agree. It doesn't have much to do with inflation. It's not sending money to our pockets in order to help out. It's not creating different rules so these other companies can't just raise prices just because talent.
Exactly.
So
So chicken is still high, people, is what I'm saying.
so I actually did a little research just before we start. The reason
Okay.
like cattle, chicken, all these animals or prices are going up because the food and resources needed to feed them is going up. So that's how it's
Right.
trickling up. It's not like
The
oh
hay
it's
is expensive.
yeah, exactly. The hay is expensive, the food is
The
expensive.
feed is expensive. Yeah, I
So
think this was mentioned on a TikTok before, and she was like, "Hey, it's coming. So all of the feed that I normally got for this amount, it's raising, so I don't have that much feed, so the prices are gonna jack up." So supply and demand, people, supply and demand. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I do not like the name, or I don't like the Inflation Reduction Act, because it's giving people a false sense of hope that, oh, hey, Joe Biden is actually doing something about the inflation that we're experiencing right now, but it does not.
yeah. But what does it come with?
Great question, Bastion. What does it come with? First, let's talk about climate, right? One of our favorite topics, one of our favorite subjects here on Black Seinfeld, because we know scientists have said this for a long time now. If we keep doing what we're doing to the earth, it won't be around any much longer. There is a global warming crisis here in America. And finally, it seems like Dark Brandon, aka Joe Biden, aka Joe Byron, is finally doing something about it, Bash. And he's going to allocate more than $300 billion to be invested in energy and climate reform. And so that money is going to be the largest federal clean energy investment in the entire history of the United States. So where are we going to get? So how are we going to get this, right? What is this going to go to? 60 billion for boosting renewable energy infrastructure in manufacturing, such as solar panels, wind turbines, and it includes tax credit for electric vehicles, stuff that you love,
Well, I
and
can
measure.
explain that if you want real quick.
Please, absolutely.
So, a couple years ago, there was a electric vehicle tax credit of $7,500, and each company had a certain amount of cars that they have to deliver in order for it to fit. So once they get, I think the number was 250,000. Once they hit 250,000 cars, they lose the tax credit. So let's say Gio went to buy a car in 2017, he could sign up for the tax credit at the end of the year, and he will be able to get either in cash, he could get like a check, or it will go towards his taxes, so he could pay less taxes. That's how it works. And then by I think and I'm only speaking for like Tesla and GM, but it's like 2020 they would no longer had the tax credit because it gets cut in half every time you hit like a milestone.
Hmm.
So it could be 7,500, then go back to like 3,250, and then again 17,250. Uh, then once there's no more, you can't sign up for it. So once you buy that car, you're just paying your own taxes. But some states also had their own electric car taxes.
Yes.
But the weird thing about this, it doesn't really renew it for all the companies. It's more like an incentive for other companies to get to that lane, that direction. So I don't
Mm.
think that one is a good one. As someone that's like worked in the industry and I understand how solar works as well, there's too many problems within that industry to just give money and for them to just fix it. Because even solar panels, the way other companies are doing it is still abusive as well. Because most people that install solar panels don't understand how much it really costs, and they don't
Mhm.
understand how much the government really pays for it as well. So I'm super iffy on those personal things because I've worked in that industry and I've seen how it could affect people's lives and how you could really
How
lose.
does it? Can we dive deep into that, Bastion? How much are you allowed to
No, I could
spill
allow it.
on
It's on
the?
the internet, but I could give you an
Okay,
example
great.
about like solar
Please.
panels.
Yeah, can you give us an example about the solar panels and how, there's a lot of the Anglo-Saxons that like to infiltrate our areas and promote these solar panels, but they really don't understand how they actually work.
No, it's not about how they work. I think they work very well. I think they're installed very well, and I think the prices of panels are getting much cheaper. If anything, I do recommend you get solar panels, but I want you to also understand that it is expensive, right? In a good solar panel that could probably charge up your house, let's say, and you get good lighting, you get good sunshine, and it could probably give you 90% of energy that you need to operate your entire house because you pay about a kilowatt hour, right? So let's say your monthly bill is $100. With solar panels, it could bring it down to 15, right?
Mm.
Because you're never really going to be net zero, and that's something that people want. Net zero, it means that you're fully off grid and you're not getting any sort of electricity into your house. Solar panels are also good because it also puts less stress on the electricity within your neighborhood. So your solar panels could also help give electricity to your neighbor and to the following house down the block. It gives less strain to the cables as well. So more panels in your neighborhood is actually a good thing. Now this is where it gets rough because
But
there's different price points, just like owning a car. You could lease it, you could buy it straight out, or you could rent it, depending on the company you work for. The thing about leasing is it's not necessarily yours, and you're paying depending on how much electricity that you're using. It's very difficult because you, at this point of time, you need someone to go to your house, you need someone to check your bills, and you need someone to give you a calculated like how much energy could you use depending on where you are and how much light you get. So if you're leasing it, you're only paying the company how the price of how much electricity that you're using. Anything
mm,
excess is fine. You're not paying for it. So that's where it gets confusing. They will give you a calculation if you're leasing it. Now, if you're financing it, of course, it's financed like a mortgage or something. It could be 10 years and you pay that off. Or if you
man,
buy it straight out, it will cost you $40,000. Now, the question is you're buying $40,000 worth of like panels. How long will it take you to pretty much use $40,000 worth of electricity for it to break even? 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, 30 years, by the time you finish the mortgage. So, yeah.
that is genius.
So it's very clumsy, and I'm pretty sure I didn't explain it 100%, but I did a good job. I tried my
You
best to
did a great job.
simplify how
Yes.
difficult that field is. So it's not as easy just to up and sell solar panels. I still think they're a great idea. It's just one, they're too expensive. And these companies, they're all privatized, so they need to make profit. Second thing is, not all these panels are made in-house, so they can have a warehouse somewhere close by in Long Island, but they've definitely had to buy these orders from China. So as long as we still have those issues, I don't really care that you're putting $60 billion into renewable energy. It's still going to cost, aka you, me, the consumer, problems in ownership. And what happened if there's cracks in it? What happened if there's a squirrel under it? There's still maintenance to fix.
Yeah.
Combined to like wind turbine. Like I like that, but you need to be in a windy area, so only certain areas. And I do believe solar panels, if it's done on even on a privatized level, let's say, I think one of the biggest things they said, if you took all the golf courses in the United States of America and put them all in one area and put solar panels on there, it could actually power the entire country. I don't know if that's still believable today, but that was something that I was taught.
How long ago was that? Do you remember?
Like what?
When they came up with that hypothesis or theory?
Maybe 2017. I like to say 2017, 2016. So,
okay.
But we have a lot of golf courses. Maybe it's like golf courses and cemeteries. That could have been the theory. But I think it's golf courses.
Cemeteries, I would believe.
I think
cemeteries,
it's golf.
I would 100% believe.
I think it's golf courses because it's a waste. It's a waste of water. It's a waste of land. It's a waste of everything. That's how I feel about golf courses. But that was that's just how I feel about the act about renewable energy. It's much more complex than that, and I hope to learn more in the future. But electric vehicles, still the same thing, because it will help if it's a hybrid car. But a hybrid, yes, all you're doing is lowering your carbon emission rate, and it's not about that. It's about removing it, because the problem isn't that we have excess, is that we need to figure out how to convert it. Right, that's kind of what their main focus is in right now, because we have so much excess carbon in the atmosphere. It's like we need to create something to convert, like add more oxygen to the atmosphere. No, you can just spray oxygen. That's how you create like a bubble in the ozone that takes 10 years to fix. So yeah, they tried that too. I think they spray like water on the ozone and messed it up, and like, oh snap, I think give everybody cancer. But
yikes. Okay, moving on. Are we still on climate?
Yeah, we're literally just hit the second part.
Goals to reduce global warming carbon emissions by 2030.
Yes. So that's another thing. They have this long-term plan. And the problem with long-term plan in government is all about the officials that you have. And
there you go.
Depending on who's the president at the time, because whoever you hire might have different ideas on the position.
And of course, some people may feel like all of this is a waste of money and they want to allocate those funds into other things. So what happens if they defund it? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, they won't be able to defund it, luckily, because this act is like the money's already there. Like somebody already wrote the check and they sent it already, so the money will be spent that way. But another problem I have with it, you can't, and this is something that we're going to talk about in a second. Actually, let me talk about it right now. So there were some changes, and one of the changes was because Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin asked for some changes. And one of the changes I want to talk about is Joe Manchin. It's because, first of all, he worked with a lot of gas and coal and oil businesses. So what he wanted to do is to renew a couple leases for where these gas pieces were, that I think Trump was going to renew it. Then Biden stopped it because he was trying to get a hold of more of better climate control ideas, or I think he was starting to write this act before it got to where it is now. And you have all these greenhouse emissions and these companies, these private companies that you actually have to sell to in order for them to use or go to a more green route. And I think that's what he added to it, because they said like he wrote most of it. So when you give most of this money to private companies for them to do good, to do greenhouse, I mean, to focus more on climate change, I think you're working backwards now because these companies are the reason we're having these issues because they rather go around the long way to
Of
fix those
course.
problems.
Their best interest is to always spend as little money as possible so they can make maximum profit. Period.
Period. So when you have this bill saying it's like you, if we want to like, if the government wants to like fix something, they have to buy it from like a company in order to implement it.
And that's where things get shaky.
I think it will get very shaky. It sounds like a good idea. Like we have all these private companies that's like, hey, you got to work with us in order to save the world. Sure, but what are they getting out of it besides tax credit? Because
And you took the word straight out of my mouth because there has to be some sort of incentive here if this company wants to work with the government and is willing to work with the government. There has to be some sort of favoritism, let's just say, that helps both of them out. There has to be some sort of deal that gets cut for both of them. And that's what happened somewhat with your girl over there.
yeah, it's like try to make a deal. And this country isn't like Venezuela where they'll just straight up buy or buy the company and say, all right, it's no longer private, it's now a public company. Like United States is not that type of country. If it was, that would be very good. But they're just not that type of company. I mean, country. Another thing
Yeah,
to go back on, like you're bringing incentive for car manufacturers, where the best thing you could do is create more incentives by creating more like train routes and better emission and better transportations within cities. It's not enough to say, yeah, we're going to change all the USPS to go electric. We're going to change buses and other small company cars to go electric. It's like, no, you have to actually make a transportation system for us to use, and that way we can have less cars on the street, making more emission. But that's not how we think. So
yeah, and it's not gonna happen anytime soon, especially because of how big America is, how vast it is. I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon because America's still, in order to get around here, you need a car.
yeah,
I think it's gonna stay like that for a long time,
yeah.
forever even.
There's ways to change it, but you would have to use some of this money to say we're going to focus strictly on public transportation and nothing else. And I do think having one type of transportation owned by the city or state might be the best thing to do, and not having a private company to do it.
Yes,
I'm now like moving around and there's like two different bus lines, and I didn't know they're not related to each other. And I didn't know that. I thought it was just like one city thing. It's like, no, you got like the Culver City bus, and then you got the Big Blue bus, and they're not related. And then you have the
absolutely
train
not.
metro, and they're not related either. So I'm like, what's going on? So
I tell people all the time because they're always shocked. They think the MTA is a city run thing. No, it's a private company.
the city has their say in what they do, but yeah, it's a private company.
It's still a private company. They do what they want. At the end of the day, the city can have an input in it, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know if you're seeing what's happening with the Easy Pass and the tolls in Manhattan. You need a toll to you're they're doing it where you need a toll to get in and out of Manhattan now.
I
If
agree.
you're
I agreed with that a long time ago. I was here. I was in New York when they announced that.
Oh yeah, they're implementing it now, bro.
Good, good. Like we don't need more people in Manhattan. It's already stuffy enough.
That is true.
I forgot
But
what
hey,
they're going to use the money for.
I forgot, but we'll see what comes of that.
I'm pretty sure they'll get discounts if you're a truck because you're bringing things to the city. But yeah, everybody else, what you doing driving the city? Go stay in Brooklyn. So not only were there climate stuff, there's Medicare stuff, right?
Yes, there are some Medicare stuff. Price cap on Medicare. The bill enables the federal health secretary to negotiate the prices of some drugs for Medicare. It also caps out of pocket prescription drug costs for people on Medicare at $2,000 effective 2025. So 3 years. This is effective. This goes into effect.
Yeah, which is interesting. To cap it, I think that's nonsense. Read the second line, and I'll give my opinion.
The new law caps prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year and insulin payments at $35 a month for Medicare recipients.
I think it's ridiculous. Why don't you just remove it? What's this like $35? No, like it's $0. Because you have 35, that means it could, like your landlord could raise it up 10% every year. You just make that into the bill. The next when Trump is president again, he's like, yeah, we're just going to switch it up. We could raise it whenever we feel like it, once a year.
Yeah, you knew that. You knew damn well they were gonna give some sort of charge. They weren't gonna give it straight out for free. You knew that, though.
But we can, because things like insulin, it's like old products, not even old products. You could look at any world chart.
Here goes Bastion Optimist again.
Dice roll any medication that your grandmother used, throw it onto the sheet, get the name, look at the chart, and just compare prices. And it's like, all right, let's get the same. We want England prices. Can I just straight up walk into it's like, yo, I want England prices. I don't want to pay U.S. prices. I'll pay it in euros too. I don't mind. I want England prices.
Bastion, what you think this is? You think they're gonna allow that?
No, this is start. This is the thing about Dark Brandon stuff is it's like step 1 out of like 20 steps. 20 steps is free. That's where we need to go.
Dark Brandon is still a capitalist at the end of the day. You think that man is going to allow you that choice to go buy from the English?
No, not the English. I want the same prices that they got. That's what.
No. This is capitalism here.
I know.
This is still America at the end of the day. You think we're going to get this for free?
But I could still disagree on how they're doing
ain't
it.
Free?
I could still disagree on how they're going at it. But this is very helpful.
Yeah.
For what we have in our system now. This is very helpful. To cap it at $2,000 per year, that's very good. Very good. Not as affordable as people think, because monthly bills and things add up. I got to get a new shirt for work. That's $35, good one, $50. Got to get a belt too. That's
depending quality.
Good quality. Imagine buying stuff on Shein and it has like things to give you like rash on your skin, if you've noticed that.
Imagine getting the purple label. Shoot, that's a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just my slight complaint on it. But yeah, you could continue.
Sure. Let me continue. The IRA also funds the Affordable Care Act, which of course is Obamacare, through 2024, locking in lower insurance premiums for about 13 million people and expanding coverage to another 3 million. Democrats had originally wanted to include funding for childcare, universal pre-K, and paid family leave, all items that were dropped over the course of negotiations.
Which is insane to me, because
F these kids, Bastion.
Give me Europe prices, right?
F these kids, Bastion.
In Europe,
F these families.
In England, they get 13 months a year paycheck. Gio, how would you feel if you got that extra month of a check by the end of the year? By your 12th, you also get your 13th check.
My goodness, that's Christmas right there.
That's helpful. That means they want you to take a vacation. It's like, here, use this 13th money, go to Disney World and spend it all. We want you to spend it all. Want you to spend it all.
Capitalism works, Bastion.
But you're putting money into the economy. Isn't that how capitalism works? Where's this money coming from?
But it also works as we want you to work as hard as possible because we want you to get the feeling of some sort of progression. But there is no progression.
England is a capitalist country too.
Somewhat.
No,
well, yeah,
somewhat.
Brexit.
It is.
Yeah, Brexit.
It is a capitalist country too. Universal pre-K. We got universal pre-K in New York City, so
yes,
New York City lucked into that.
Well, sorry. I got that in New York.
I still gotta pay taxes for New York.
Why you gotta pay taxes? Oh, you ain't changed your ID yet.
No, it's just not yet. It's just like I gotta stay here for a year. Then I could pay LA taxes and stuff. But my last checks We're from New York, so I still gotta pay New York tax. So
All right.
letting you know. Anyways, we
Excuse
in
me.
pre-K, because I put that was like $3 per check, goes to pre-K
Yes.
and family leave, like $3, maybe 17.
Yeah.
I think it was $17. It took a little much. Um, but and Christian Cinema also allowed them to take out a carried interest tax, which is like closing a loophole, which was estimated to raise roughly like $14 billion in tax revenue for over the next decade. And just to explain what the carried interest tax is, it's a little bit confusing. I actually listened to New York Times. They had the Daily, which is a podcast, and they actually spent like 20 minutes discussing how if you're a private equity fund, like you could make money off of what you invest. They use this loophole to get paid less, or maybe a lot less, compared to if you made a lot of money. You don't have to pay the full 40%. You could just pay 20% because
What's
of.
the loophole that they found?
So the loophole is about like this was designed. I think this was designed for like World War II veterans, and when they were getting a lot of money from the state, they were able to invest in other things. So every time they kind of pull out money, you got to pay the full 40%. Same thing for if you own stocks today, you got to pay 40%. But if you have it for long term, you pay a lot less, because the longer you hold the stock, the less you pay. And also, depending on how much you're pulling out, it's also a little bit less as well. So these multi-millionaires and billionaires, they figured out how to get around that system. And the funny thing, it's been around here for a long time, but it's within the last 15 years that you tell a secret to one friend, they're gonna tell it. You're gonna tell it to everybody. I'm pretty sure one billionaire knucklehead will go on a podcast. It's like, yo, there's ways around this, and then everybody's doing it. That's my joke on it. But
100%.
that's kind of what it is. It's just they're able to pay less than you and I would in taxes and still get a lot of money from it.
Wow. Man.
So Kristen
Another way of
Cinema.
beating the system.
So Kristen Cinema got roughly, and they said this in the podcast. Just check it out. This is the Daily's, the New York Times podcast. They did a really good job explaining it, giving examples. But Kristen Cinema got close to $1 million in donations from the special interest groups. So that's why she was very adamant into like not pushing forward with this act until they removing the carried interest tax loophole. So this is just a game. This is just a game.
It's all just a game, people. This is what politicians do. In order for you to get them in the back of your pocket, all you gotta do is just throw them a little money, throw them a little cheddar, and then they'll do whatever you want them to do. And that's my problem with them.
Same thing with Joe Manchin.
Same thing with Joe Manchin, man. They have these philosophies and how much they want to help people, blah blah blah, and it's like what they said in The Dark Knight. It's what Heath Ledger said as the Joker. You live long enough. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Harvey Dent. You live long enough to see yourself become the damn villain, and there it is, right there. Money, power, corruption, all of that in our local U.S. politics. The game doesn't change, people. It only stays the same. We're all just cogs on the wheel, and you take one cog and it always gets replaced, and the wheel keeps turning.
Yeah.
For now, at least.
Yeah.
Sorry to be a downer here, but you know it's true.
Yeah, so Joe Manchin getting like money from the oil industry as well. He's from West Virginia. So he had to defend their rights, because corporations have rights too. Who said that? I think it was who's our money again? Mitch Romney.
Are people
Mitch
too.
Romney.
That's right.
What's his
the
name?
Mormon himself, Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney. Our
That's
money.
right.
That's what I call him. Mitt Romney. That's how I remember his
Mormon
name.
himself.
So yeah.
Mitch Romney.
No, our money.
Oh, our money.
Because someone spelled his name wrong, and it's spelled our money. Binders full of women. I can never forget. Got binders full of women. It's an old 2008 meme.
Hey, he's from Utah.
Yeah. But
you want me to finish reading up what I got here?
Yeah, let's finish up.
Sure. The bill also provides a 3-year extension on healthcare subsidies in the Affordable Care Act that were originally passed, and last year's pandemic relief bill. On taxes, the legislation establishes a 15% minimum tax for corporations making 1 billion or more in income, which is estimated to bring over 300 billion in revenue. So they taxing Jeff Bezos then? Is that what I'm reading?
No, they're taxing corporations a little bit more.
So they taxing okay.
So you're only taxing their bottom line, or maybe their profit margins. You're taxing their profit margins.
Huh. Okay.
Because one thing I forgot to say about the Christian Cinema thing is the special interest group that's protecting the carried interest tax is more of like private equity fund. And the concept
Yes.
of private equity is that they use that money to invest in small businesses that expand, like the whole concept of Silicon Valley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's nonsense that we have to protect these people's investments, and they hope that they can make a lot of money off of it, because at the end of the day they're still going to use their unspent money on those special type of projects. So at the end it's all nonsense. It's all a rigged game. So screw both Joe Michigan and Kristen Cinema. They're both terrible people, and I hope they don't win their elections. I hope Democrats like replace them with other lame Democrats at least. So,
or even worse.
it's only these two people that's kind of been like fumbling, Dark Brandon's bag for the past 2 years. So if he didn't have these two people's problem, I think he will do a little bit more, maybe like 10% more than what he's been doing now. So debating your own teammates is kind of sick. If you're the all-star, if you're the main team, if you Kobe Bryant and you have like some bench player number 8 like complaining about how you do your plays,
Rick Fox.
must believe not. Rick Fox is cool. Must like you'll be traded. I would trade you by February. By the time's All-Star break, you'll be traded.
You be out of here.
You'll be out of here.
I hear you, man. Well, let's take a little pause for the cause. When we get back, we're going to play a little bit of music. No, when we get back, we're going to talk about some music. So for now, I'm going to play some music. This is Danger Mouse and Black Thought, because featuring Joey Badass Russ and Dylan Cartledge off of their latest album, Cheat Codes. And when we come back, we're going to talk about that album. We're going to talk about other albums. And then I'm going to go home and sleep. We'll be right back. Danger Mouse, Black Thought, because featuring Joey Badass Russ, Dylan Cartledge, off of the new album Cheat Codes that came out last week. 30 minutes long, 12 tracks. Bastion, I think you and I are going to agree that this album right here, fire. This track, fire.
Yep.
Great way to start off the weekend, listening to Black Thought, listening to one of the most prolific producers in Danger Mouse. Of course, if you don't know, Danger Mouse featured in a lot of MF Doom records. Of course, you got Danger Doom, classic album back in 05. So I was excited to hear that.
Lars Barkley, Gorillaz, Demon
Right.
Days, Beck's, Modern Guild, Black Keys Attack the release. Like, Danger Mouse is really out here. And also
He is really out here.
Also he produced a lot with ASAP Rocky and at long last ASAP the second album.
Yeah. And so finding out that he and Black Thought coming out with an album together, I felt like it's just gonna be together like peanut butter and jelly, like peanuts and chocolate. It's just going to work. Yes. You want to see these two get in the studio and just create music, and that's what we got. And for me, I listened to this on my headphones, and I thought that was one of the best listening experiences, because I've listened to this album on the speakers with the BAI speakers, but I feel like it's a lot better on the headphones for some reason. I don't know if you've experienced that at all.
So, would you like me to start psychoanalyzing the album, or just talk about the sound?
Oh, we can talk about the sound first, and then you can psychoanalyze.
Got you. So the sound is very interesting because I related to a very late, grungy, dusty, muddy, using a lot of objective terms, hip hop. So maybe what's something that's easy to understand, like the RZA's old style,
Yes.
you know,
Snap, crackle, pop.
snap crackle, very dusty. The microphone sounds like it's performed on a live mic, so it's a little echoey as well. So I'm sure if you were to go to a Black Thought concert, you'll be able to hear the record perform live and sound exactly like a record, which is pretty cool. And you'll still have that same energy of a live band to it, and the lyric and the production will just sound cohesive and perfect. So for Danger Mouse to produce it this way, to use that type of template throughout the entire 38-minute project is pretty cool, and something that's kind of missing nowadays. But I don't know if it works well for like a 60-minute project, but a 38 prolific rapper as like Black Thought, from the roots, this works perfect.
Yeah, I think it goes in and out really quick and knows what it is and knows what it's doing and doesn't want to overstay its welcome. And I think the timing was just right on this before it drags, and it doesn't do that.
Yeah, I agree. Let's jump straight into it. Gio,
Sure.
what's your initial thoughts on this project?
Initially, like I said before, that since I knew that Black Thought was coming out with a new album with Danger Mouse, I already knew this album gonna be good. Like there's sometimes whenever I see certain artists work together, Black Thought is one of those artists. There's never really any doubt that this album's going to be awful or trash to me. And yeah, Black Thought, he's a damn alien. He can do no wrong. I say this all the time. Black Thought is one of the few artists, one of the few rappers that can damn near do anything. He can never do any damn wrong. Okay. Any flow he wants, he can do it. Okay. Any tempo, any BPM, I can see him doing it. All right. That man is an alien. There's no stopping him. There's very few hip hop aliens within the culture. Black Thought, he is number one on that list of just being so damn talented, so diverse with this sound. He can do damn near everything. Okay. He made the seed, damn it. Okay. That's more of a rock ass track. Okay. And he sounded great on it.
Yeah.
Need I say more? He's on Gorillaz tracks, god damn it.
He's a very interesting rapper, and he has a lot of history to back up his verses. 30 years of rapping.
Yes,
And
he does this thing in the Roots Picnic, right?
mhm.
Where he'll rap along to different tracks and he does not miss the beat. He does not miss the flow. Like I remember one time in the Roots Picnic, he was doing um that track with Fat Joe, right? It was hold on one moment. Let me find it real quick.
It was
It was
the
off Capital Pun.
Roots
It was
picnic
on the
in
Twin.
Philly.
Yes, it was on the Roots Picnic in Philly. It was the Deep Cover 98 featuring Fat Joe. And there's like a tongue twister that Fat Joe that Big Pun does where he goes, little little we do diddly, something like that. And Black Thought just got it like off rip. And everyone just went crazy because man, a lot of that stuff is not easy to do. He has great breath
Breath control, air
Air,
control. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's very interesting to see older rappers like this still able to do it while younger rappers, not dissing them, but it's definitely difficult. They didn't go through the same training. So when they have to do a perform or a rap concert, they're rapping with the dub track. And that's just a joke too. I think it's fine to rap with the dub track. It just gets annoying as me, the person paying 20 to $40 to see you perform. But it's cool. Now, one thing that's very interesting about the production is not everything is fully sampled, but
Mm-hmm.
even if even if the track is sampled, the way that Danger Mouse got like Dylan Cartledge and Kid Sister to sing on the track, and that's the song because that Gio just played, and the darkest part it makes it sound like, hey, I need you to sing it like it's a sample. Maybe he cuts it up after they sing it like a sample to give it
Mm.
that like,
Illusion that this is like an old school, maybe 70s record, some obscure, I don't know, maybe uh track that could be some sort of some rock maybe or some maybe pop
yeah.
track, something like that.
I think Just Blaze does that pretty well too. He's
Mm.
able to get someone else to make it sound like a sample. I never seen Kanye do it, but
No,
definitely Just Blaze is able to do it with his older work, especially with Jay-Z.
yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of what this album is about, it's pretty much like talk about his history, talking about what's going on in the environment today, and he's going bar for bar with a lot of legendary rappers. Russ and Joey Badass was in the previous track we listened to. He did a song with MF Doom that was really good. He even had a song with Raekwon, Conway the Machine, ASAP Rocky, and all of Run the Jewels. So these features are well placed and well used, and I do think this has to do a lot with Black Thought blending well with everybody, and also Danger
Yep.
Mouse knowing how to use these people. Because he used Michael
Kiwanuka.
Kiwanuka in two of his albums, so he probably knew how to use him. And also he worked with ASAP in the past, and I'm pretty sure he did a project with a song with Joey, I think. But that being aside, he knew how to work with these features. And I could say some people just don't. But I think we're talking about this album long enough. I do
Yeah.
recommend people to check it out. I thought his hooks were great. Thought the bars were great. It's not boring. Multiple listens. This gets better.
Yeah, definitely recommend you checking out this album. Cheat codes available on all digital streaming platforms, on your phone, on your laptops. Go take a listen to it right now. We have the sophomore album of one Megan Thee Stallion. This is her second official album, but it I don't know. These don't even count anymore. Like she's been dropping albums, in my opinion, since ever since Tina Snow and all that stuff. But this is her first ever second sophomore album. Of course, 2 years ago was Good News, which happened in 2020, which felt like ages ago. Honestly, it felt like it actually didn't. It didn't come out in 2020. It felt like this recently just happened. But hey, that's what the pandemic has done to us. It's speeded up a lot because I feel like it was only yesterday that the whole Savage challenge was happening. But hey, here we are with Traumazine, and I think the name basically speaks for itself, which is about the past 2 years of Megan the Stallion and somewhat of what we started to see was a bit of a turn in her career when it comes to a lot of hate, a lot of backlash, based off of what happened with her and another gentleman that was the king of quarantines that we will not give any sort of shine to here. And what makes this album a bit different, but there's still a lot of similarities here, was the beats. This album here, juxtaposed to the previous album, wasn't as poppy as this one is. It seemed like Megan was going back to her roots in this one, her southern roots. A lot of slaps on this one, a lot of bounce on this one, a lot of that southern drawl in the production was
I
in
say a bit like a modern update, but using the same sounds as the pop tracks would, because it's first of all listening to this album after listening to the Black Thought Project was a little bit difficult.
Oh yeah, you did that to yourself, man. I jumped straight into this one
No,
first.
I know I heard it first. I heard this album. I
Okay.
didn't even know Black Thought and uh Danger Mouse came out with an album until maybe like a couple hours later.
Okay.
But I heard this album twice when I reached out to you. Said, "Oh, it's pretty good." And then I heard the Black Thought, and I went back, and the way I hear it, it's like, wow,
Mhm.
this is a little bit too clear. In terms of the
Yeah.
production, as you said, it's using less pop production. and it's I think this is definitely a slightly darker album.
Definitely a darker album.
You could
I
tell by the
think it,
cover as well.
yes, I think it could have been a bit darker.
I
I
think it would
think
have been a bit shorter.
that too. Well, I don't mind the track length because hold on, let me pull up the track length for Traumazine here. It isn't that long compared to all the other albums we're going to get into real quick. Traumazine, 18 songs. It's under an hour. It's 50 minutes because a lot of these songs are pretty quick. I think that this album here could have been she I think she could have dived deeper, meaning like I think she could have been a bit more vulnerable. She does in certain tracks, right? I think one of a good prime example of that was
Anxiety.
Anxiety. Yeah,
Even
I think that's
NDA starts off
yes,
pretty straightforward.
yes, I think so as well. But I feel like a lot of the tracks, it's very confident. You know what I'm saying? It's very boom boom talk, which I don't mind, okay, but I'm not. It's not for me. I get that it's not for me. But with a name like Traumazine, I was expecting like a little bit more. Hey, the stuff that I've been going through, it's been messing with me. And she did that once, and she sprinkles that out throughout the album a little bit, of course. We don't need to know who shot me. Like that bar, I thought that was pretty nice. A little dig there. I thought that was nice. Um,
I do have a slight problem because I think I was listening to her interview and they said she paid like Future $250,000 for a verse. In my
I
head,
did hear that.
I was like, if I had $250,000, I wouldn't give it to a verse. I would give it to like production value.
City boys are up, baby.
So the production value, I could have thought like I do have my idea of what Megan could be as a rapper, just balancing both the pop and hip hop, which I think she
Yeah.
could do. Definitely don't want to compare it to Nicki Minaj, but I do think she could still follow Nicki Minaj and do like a Little Kim in terms of for the streets and for the party, right?
Ah,
Because I
okay.
still think she could do both. I think she could make amazing pop tracks. So creating an album, I don't mind her doing both. Bringing back to Drake creating a lane for you to do like hip hop and singing pop songs. You could do both. I think an artist like um, Megan Thee Stallion still hasn't hit the center ground yet.
Mm.
Because as you said, it's like there's a lot of bad talking, especially on online and social media about her. But there's no reason for that. She works real hard. She's fun to party with, and she doesn't smack talk anybody.
Unfortunately, Bastion, the person who allegedly shot her has a lot of fans still,
Not only
and a
fans, he
lot
has a
of
lot of
dedicated
control
fans,
on the industry. What's going on?
a lot of fans, and a lot of female fans as well, and they love that guy. Okay, and a lot of them believe in what he had to say, so therefore a lot of them don't believe in Megan Thee Stallion. So that is a contributing factor as well as for the backlash, as well as the dudes.
I think
Of course, you can't let the dudes out of here.
I think she should leave her record label. I don't know
Oh, she definitely is. She is leaving. That was the last album for her record
for
label.
300.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she gotta leave. I think she gotta join like Top Dog Entertainment.
Ooh,
Someone is
what?
still
I don't think
controlling in
so.
a way to like make you like focus on your projects, but they know how to market you properly in your
I don't
own
see.
lane.
I don't see Top Dog signing Meg. I don't think she would. I don't see her there, man. I honestly see her going to QC or some crap like that.
I don't think
To be real.
QC is a good one either. Maybe working with Rock Nation would be good, like work with their team.
Yeah,
But I don't think
that
Rock
makes sense.
Nation, because what I think for Megan Thee Stallion is like she still needs like the artist track route to like
Mm.
superstardom. She's a star. She's not a superstar. She's a star. But I still think she's on a track route to superstardom.
Okay,
And
that's fine. I agree.
I still think she has a lot of potential making like that hit record, that super complex album that everybody enjoys in both the pop and hip hop side. For me, I'm just tired about the sounds. This is just how I feel about like trap esque music with the hi hats, with the 808s.
Mm.
You know, does it bore the crowd? Not really, but
No, it doesn't bore the crowd at all. And I think, again, it's not for us, Bastion. This album is really not intended for us, but it's still a good album. I don't hate on it, but I just know that we're not the marketing target audience for it. It's for the hotties, you know.
no,
It's for the
I think in this album is definitely for both. I think this is trying to get as much of a different type of fan base in order to listen to her music. That's the way I hear it, especially with tracks of like NDA and doing song with Pushaisi and having like Future on it. It's definitely trying to bring that type of fan base. Even Lotto has a big male fan base.
I love Lotto. Yeah, you already know how I feel.
So that's what I mean. It's like I listen to Lotto. She makes decent. Actually, her music is pretty good. I said that with her last album. I said I actually like it.
Yeah.
But I
777.
I still have like bigger ideas or delusions or grandeur for Megan Thee Stallion. I think she's almost there to her best project yet. But I do think it needs to be a balance of like hip hop and pop music. How pop do you want to be? I think that's up to her and her team to kind of gauge the audience. But she got to win the crowd. I think that's the hard part right now. And this is a part that I don't think she should be in. I don't think anybody should be in that situation.
Yeah, she's going through a lot with that still, and I believe next month is the beginning of trials, so we'll see how that goes.
Oof.
Yeah. But I also like that track with Rico Nasty. Scary.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna play for October.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love Rico Nasty too.
But
So yeah, take a listen to the new album from Megan Thee Stallion, Traumazine.
Interesting. So I did not listen to The Game album, but
Oh, you didn't listen to
I
Drillmatic?
didn't have time. I was very focused on like listening to Megan Thee Stallion and listen to Black Thought in order to give like a clear review. But I saw The Game's 30 tracks and I was like the features. Also, people were like spoiling it in a way by putting his lyrics online, and people just disgusted about how terrible they are. But maybe you had a different experience.
Yeah, I had a bit of a different experience, Bastion, because unlike you, I had to actually listen to 2 hours worth
Two
of the
hours.
game.
Oof. Yeah.
2 hours worth of the game, and I'll be real here, okay? The game was one of the biggest artists to come out of the West Coast, right? The game, to me at least, I think his catalog goes pretty underrated. I think his catalog gets overlooked a lot. I think one of the most overlooked albums he has dropped in recent memory would be 1992, which focused on the LA riots, of course, the Rodney King incident, and what was going on in 92 during that time. I thought that was probably one of the best albums out that year, and I think it goes super underlooked. The game is incredibly talented,
Also,
people. There's no
Jesus
denying that.
Piece.
Yes.
That was
Also,
another
Jesus Piece.
fire album. The Red album was straight. Anyways, that's not what we're here
Martian
to
versus
talk about.
Goblin was cool.
That one was so bad. Kendrick. I think I said this in the show like many times. It's like how you allow Kendrick Lamar in 2011 to like start your album and just like destroy the entire album. It just wasn't good anymore after hearing Kendrick's verse because it was so good. But
That was what Kendrick was on at that time. He was on just destroying everyone.
as 50 Cent said, relax, calm down. It's 29 tracks. I'm looking at the track list right
Yeah,
now.
they got rid of a track. Well, it was 30 when I listened to it.
They got rid of a track? Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I forgot which one they got rid of. But yeah, it was 30. It was 30 last week. But anyways, let me just say this again. The game is very talented. He can flow. He can rap his ass off. This is one of the worst game albums I've heard.
Oh, my God. I thought you were going to say it was good.
It's not good at all. I hate the fact that the game is trying to be a young nigga and he's trying to do young nigga stuff. I don't like the game doing drill music. I don't like the fact that a lot of these beats are lazy. I don't like the fact that they're just blatantly just taking beats nowadays that we grew up listening to in the 2000s and just adding another bass line to it or adding a freaking hi-hat to it, and that's like the new record. I
Ah,
think it's
that's the thing I
lazy.
complain about.
I think it's disgusting. I think a lot of I know hip hop started with, with the Get Down, right? I know hip hop started with a lot of break tracks from disco records and stuff like that, and that's evolved over time where, people will just sample different records, and a lot of music heads that really love music will realize that, oh, this instrument was sampled by this artist or this jazz band. I sort of missed that because god damn it, like nowadays it's just everyone is just sampling stuff from really successful songs that was sampled before, and it's I feel like it's just like the bare minimum, and what it does is it just makes you go, oh hey, do you remember that time where this song was really big in the mid 2000s or early 2000s? Yeah, I do. Let me go listen to that song instead. And that's what happens throughout this damn album. Furthermore, the game just comes off as really bitter in this album. I gotta be real with you. I feel like he's just bitter with mainly the number one thing is the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl halftime show performance because he was not in it.
I want to put him in there either.
But it makes sense if he was in it. But then again, he has beef with everyone in there. He has beef with Dre. He has animosity against 50. He hates Eminem for whatever. Eminem didn't even do nothing to this man. The only person he loves is probably Mary J. Blige and Kendrick. That's it. And Snoop Dogg, because he's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I don't know about all of that, but
But real quick, hold that thought
yeah,
before we get out of here, because I do want to talk about the Black Slim Shady, the 10-minute diss record to Eminem. And I got to be honest with you, what he said is true. All right. Eminem is not in my top five. I don't hear Eminem in the club. I don't play Eminem like that. But
Eminem in the club. What are you trying to say here? Eminem was in the club when he was popular years ago.
right, but like he means black clubs. That's what he means. Which fine, that's true, but to me, again, 10 minutes using Eminem's cadences, using Eminem's flows, and then say, oh, I never heard an Eminem record. That's a blatant ass lie. that's a stone cold lie because you're rapping like him for 10 minutes straight and using all of head nods to some of his favorite songs ever. And I just think, again, the game has always just throughout his career, he's just been just bitter that he isn't as big. He isn't bigger than what he think he should have been, which I can see that, but I just feel like the way he always goes about stuff is just wrong.
Yeah, the difference between the game and 50 Cent. So
Unfortunately, and yeah, the that 10-minute diss record sucked ass too.
do you want
Probably one of the
Eminem
worst.
to respond?
No, he should go the whole route and not even say a word.
Oh, just let it die out.
Just let it die out. He has
Embarrassing.
nothing. He needs to do nothing because people are already like, yeah, this record is not good. It's not needed. It's not good. And again, it just comes off as bitter, and there's a lot of animosity there between Aftermath, shady Aftermath too, but particularly with the game and like I said, Dre, and especially 50 Cent. And that's it. That's all for Black Seinfeld. We're going to talk about Rod Wave, but we're out of time. We got to get up out of here. We love everyone. Please, if you have any comments or questions, hit us up on our Black Seinfeld email address, blackseinfeldny@gmail.com. Do not forget to follow us on all of our social medias. That goes for the Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, Black Seinfeld NY. Once again, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Black Seinfeld. And
Check out
yeah,
our website, blackseinfeld.com.
that's right. Listen to all the past episodes right there on that website. Bastion, do you want to say anything else to the people before we head out for the night?
And, stay tuned. We'll be back next week.
All right, take care. We're going out to this song called Why from the group Salt. This is from their album Fifth. We'll be right. Well, no, we won't be back. We'll be right back next week. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Peace.
Peace.